giving us spring football, has reached out to a big-time quarterback, reached out to a big-name quarterback, and according to Bill Polian, when he told Lindsey Jones at The Athletic, offered a deal for one Colin Kaepernick. The AAF was interested in bringing Colin Kaepernick into their league, and in response, they were met with this: a $20 million ask from Kaepernick to play in the AAF. Now, players in the AAF generally receive 3-year, $250,000 contracts. That's the going rate across the league. Now, Colin Kaepernick's worth much more than that. You and I both know that. If Colin Kaepernick, set aside his play, whatever you think of where he ranks in the pecking order of quarterbacks and how that translates to what those guys make in the NFL. If Colin Kaepernick joined the AAF, what do you think would happen to their ratings? You know they'd go up. You'd watch, I'd watch, you'd root for him, or you'd root against him. Colin Kaepernick would be instant box office for the AAF. So he's worth more than your $250,000 contract in that league. And I'm sure the AAF knows that. So what's he worth? I don't know. To them, $3 million a year, $5 million a year. Want to go as high as $10 million a year? Far and away more than anybody else in that league makes, but okay, because, hey, ratings are king. Colin Kaepernick will drive ratings. Whatever number you come up with, it won't be $20 million. This is not the NFL. Colin Kaepernick asking for $20 million from the AAF was Colin Kaepernick saying, I'm not interested in playing football. And we have to start being real about what Colin Kaepernick wants. Like him, love him, hate him. Be real. At this point, Colin Kaepernick is more interested in being a symbol and a martyr than being a quarterback. When you have passed on this many opportunities, who knows what really happened in Seattle with Pete Carroll suggesting he's too good to be a backup quarterback. Who knows what happened there? We know the opportunity that potentially existed in Baltimore with the Ravens. It was scuttled, at least in part, by his girlfriend in her social media posts. And now, at a minimum, a third opportunity to play quarterback again to get your career back going again. Even if it's beneath you, man. Past. Not just past, but asked for an impossible ask. Colin Kaepernick is a participant in a lawsuit. Colin Kaepernick is a symbol to many for different things. Colin Kaepernick, for some, is a martyr for a cause. And those things are now important, more important to him than being a quarterback. You can't pass on that many opportunities. Dan Le Batard on the Dan Le Batard Show today said, more power to him if Kaepernick wants $20 million. Listen.
I think he'd be worth a lot in terms of advertising for your league. If somebody were to sign him, he should be asking for a lot there. If you're going to ask me to compromise the principles that mean a collusion case against the NFL and the idea that I've clearly been literally blackballed, what's that worth?
I agree. He's worth more than what you normally get in the AAF. But I think what Dan's opinion there reveals is exactly what I'm telling you. My participation in a lawsuit and my allegiance to a cause are more important than my football career. You see, you don't have to hear that and hate that. You don't have to hear that and pass a value judgment on it. All you have to do is hear that and realize that it's true. It's true. Love it, hate it, it's just a fact. If you're passing on these opportunities, these things you're retaining that are more important to you are more important than the opportunity. You see, at some point you move forward. No matter what life deals you, bad hands, unjust hands, at some point, you look around and you go, how do I move forward? And it doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be fair. It just has to be. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take a step forward. If Colin Kaepernick believes being an NFL quarterback is in his future, don't you think wowing everybody in the AAF would be a quicker path to getting back on the field than through a lawsuit? Stu Gott's hanging out with Dan Le Batard on the Dan Le Batard Show today said this.
a guy who was close to winning a Super Bowl, close to getting to another Super Bowl. I think many people feel if he still played in the NFL, he'd be like a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. Man, yeah, that's worth a lot. It's certainly him asking for north of $20 million is not ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, Stugatz. It's ridiculous if you want to get a deal done. It's ridiculous if you wanted to actually play in the AAF. It's ridiculous if you thought that was an opportunity for you that you were going to entertain. You know what's not ridiculous? You could have saved both the typeface in every article written, and you could have saved the amount of ink spilled in newspapers if you just said, no, thank you. Because that's what you're saying by asking for $20 million. No, I'm not interested. In a much shorter and more efficient way. You're saying, no, I'm not going to play in the AAF. And fine, if that's what you don't want to do, that's fine. You don't have to. But you don't have to be a quarterback either. You don't have to play in the NFL. You don't have to play in the AAF. You don't have to play at all. I'm beginning to think that's what Colin Kaepernick wants. Let's hit the phone lines. I see the phone lines are lit up over Anthony Davis, Dell Demps. See what you folks have to say. What's up with Richard in Manhattan? What's up, Richard?
Hi, Will. Well, Anthony Davis may not make the playoffs, probably not, and LeBron James looks like he's not. Now, LeBron's Lakers are number 10 in the Western Conference, and to finish 8th, there's no bargain because then they're going to play Golden State, so they'll be eliminated. So they got to make up 4 games against with Utah. Utah's 4 games ahead of them. Lakers got 25 games left. Big choice.
Wow, he really stuck the landing on that one. I could literally hear Richard hang up when he ran out of things to say. Big choice. Here's the thing. On Anthony Davis, we have to start acknowledging the role that LeBron James and Clutch Sports and Rich Paul have played in this entire thing. When I said to you there's a stranger in the house, you have to start acknowledging the role that these influences are playing. I think this is a fascinating story. LeBron James, Rich Paul, went to a Duke game recently, traveled out to North Carolina, went and watched Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett, and Cam Reddish play a game. And that raised some eyebrows, right? There's some people out there, I don't know that received a ton of criticism, but it raised some eyebrows. Now, why? Why did that raise eyebrows? Why did people go, huh, look at that. Look who's in the stands watching Zion Williamson. Now, why do you think that is? Some people look at that and go, life's not fair to LeBron. Everybody's always criticizing LeBron. Everybody's got a hard word to say about LeBron. Others might say, look what's happening in New Orleans. LeBron James is an extremely powerful and influential man, and more power to him. If he can recruit, if he can influence, if he can entice people to come play with him or be signed by his agency, more power to him. But do the rest of us have to be blind to the fact that those influences and power are taking place? Do the rest of us have to be blind to the fact that LeBron and Rich Paul are pulling or trying to pull a lot of strings across the NBA? Do the rest of us have to blame Dell Demps for everything going on? Joel in Oregon. What's up, Joel?
Hey, you know, you nailed it with the Kaepernick thing. Now, Dell Demps, I knew that he was going to get fired because he blew it. He should have pulled the trigger on the Laker trade. He's not going to get a better offer. The Lakers offered him 4 possible stars, 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, cap relief space, and he, out of stubbornness, did not make that deal. They would have been a much better team. There wouldn't have been drama. They've got some good pieces already on that team, and I believe that's why he lost his job, out of stubbornness.
All right, I appreciate the call, Joel. I have 3 responses to you, okay? Number 1, I don't know that I agree with you that deal from the Lakers was the best deal out there for the Pelicans. I don't know that any of those guys are stars, much less 4 of them. Between Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Zubac, and or Josh Hart, I can't say with any certainty that any of those guys are going to be stars in the NBA. So I'm not sure that's the best deal, especially when the Celtics are lurking out there this summer. And the Celtics, who are very confident in themselves and confident in their ability to swoon Anthony Davis over a year's time frame to persuade him to stay. If they're dangling Jason Tatum, that's the star in the deal. And they have all the draft picks. They have all the young talent to sweeten it around Jason Tatum that the Lakers do. In fact, they have more. Second, ownership was apparently on the same page with Dell Demps when it came to that trade. They didn't want the Pelicans making it at that time or with the Lakers. I don't think he was being stubborn against the wishes of his employers. I think he was doing exactly what they wanted. And I'll give you my third reason. When we come back, it's Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. Smith. I'm going to lay out for you why it is. I think Dell Demps has been the patsy, but also I want to get more into this LeBron James and Clutch Sports thing and whether or not he and his team showing up to watch Duke is being unfairly criticized. We're all really beginning to see the power they wield across the sport of basketball. That's next on the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people!
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A!
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.
So when you do live reads, you do them in the